We are happy to announce that this episode of the SW Show is partially brought to you by Humble Bundle. Well, not really. We are part of the Humble Bundle referral program, and we just wanted to say that if you like really cheap games and maybe helping charity pending the Humble thing going on, all you have to do is go to humblebundle.com/?partner equals SWW. That's right, humblebundle.com/?partner equals SWW. And you just do your normal stuff, and it just kind of helps us get a couple bucks here and there. Maybe it helps AJ get his lights, maybe it's Mike camera, maybe we actually pay Corey for helping us out. But again, if you're going to go buy games anyway, it might be worth checking out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of season 3 of Formula S, where we are covering the races from Spain, Monaco, otherwise known as two completely different weather issues. They had, I think they were saying it was like 20-mile-an-hour winds.
Which, to be fair, doesn't like it's intense, but that's not dummy intense.
Well, no, but so it was a headwind down the front straight, and obviously a tailwind down the into turn 4. So I mean, 20 miles an hour, right? Like these guys are braking within millimeters of where they need to brake to make the corner, while suddenly the car is getting pushed along by the wind as well. So, or it's getting extra drag effectively put on it.
Yeah, it changes the calculus, but at least it's like a. So actually, I guess I was going to say it's equal, but enough cars are probably different enough that calculus is very different probably per driver.
Well, and not only that, it's, okay, if it's a gust, right? So it could be like sustained winds of 10 miles an hour, and if that's the case, you can figure it out, and that's pretty easy.
Yeah, so sustained winds are actually the easiest. The sustained winds aren't a problem, because once you do a couple turns, you got it.
Yeah, it's the gusts that were playing tricks on everyone, so there were several cars going into turn 4 gravel trap. Also, it was like 100 degrees.
Ugh.
Air temp. The track was like so. Does
that make tires pop a lot more, right?
Yeah, it'll make them wear faster for sure.
Because that's one of the things is heat can affect your tire pressure, and that's like we both deal with winters. We both know that like you have to check your tire pressure during the winter and summer because of that.
I mean these tires are fairly. I'm not going to say temperature strong, but
stronger.
Yeah, so
they're made for streams.
The thing that you have to worry about is the carcass itself effectively boiling and blistering. So that's the major issue when it comes to tires. It's not always tire pressure. Obviously, that's a added side effect that isn't fun to deal with, but you're more worried about the fact that, if the softs were supposed to last 15 laps, they may only last 10. So, suddenly it changes a lot of your strategy. It's always a fun time when it's hot as hell out, because then the teams scramble to figure out how to cool the car and how are we going to do tire strategy? How are we going to do this and that? So
how do you make sure stuff like the crew doesn't pass out? Like that's even little stuff too.
So a lot of those guys now will wear cool vests. So they'll have like especially the guys that are super intensive, so like the tire carriers,
Hmm.
they'll have a cool vest on and they will have it hooked up while they're sitting in the garage and then
I
unhook it, get ready to go out. And so those just circulate cold water through tubes
mhm.
in a vest that you wear. Um, and obviously, like, so you're gonna unhook it. It'll start to lose some of that cold, obviously,
Mhm.
but not enough that you're gonna pass out in the 20 minutes that
Mhm.
you're not up. Um, but other than that, like you'll see guys just like chugging water.
Oh yeah, they have to be.
Um, they'll have the big fans blowing. They'll have ice bags. They'll do all kinds of stuff to figure it out. As I say that, I just reminded of the Jackman that I forget who went deep and ran into the Jackman, but one of the teams brought an ice bag and put it on his nuts. This was probably a decade ago. Yeah, that actually would probably help because he definitely took a carbon fiber handle straight to the dick. So
That doesn't. That I don't like that idea. I don't like that image.
no. Um, Speaking of people not liking images, Red Bull did not like the upgrades that Aston Martin had to bring. They thought they were a little too close to what Red Bull had, but then the FAA investigated and was like, this stuff was being developed in November of last year, completely independent of any Red Bull stuff.
Okay.
So there was a controversy for about 12 hours
The best
until
controversies.
yeah until the FIA could be like, okay, no, this is just coincidence. Unlike because obviously Aston Martin used to be Racing Point, which used to be Force
Hmm.
India, and they've had these controversies come up. Like they had the pink Mercedes in 2020, where they basically took a bunch of photos of the Mercedes brake ducts and they used those. It was a couple other things throughout the years where this team seems to be the one that gets tagged for it.
I think they're getting tagged more than any other team because like other teams are probably doing similar shit. Like we'll be honest, I really doubt it's only one team that's doing.
Oh, absolutely. It's just, you know, when the problem of it now is all three of the top teams, so Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari, they all have at least one junior team. So
Hmm.
it's never usually like Red Bull's not worried about Aston Martin competing against them,
Hmm.
right? They're worried about Aston Martin getting technical advice from Mercedes to then go up against Williams and McLaren, but McLaren's way ahead of us uh, for that. So, you know, or like AlphaTauri, like you know, Mercedes doesn't want AlphaTauri to suddenly have basically the current Red Bull,
Hmm.
and Ferrari wants to keep everyone kind of at bay because they have Alfa Romeo and Haas. When Haas came into the sport in 2016, it was already like, okay, they were basically buying as much as they could just straight from Ferrari
Hmm.
to help kind of speed up development of their car. Um, and the rules have since changed on how much you can purchase from other teams to kind of prohibit that behavior.
I'm assuming they're a good chunk of why the rule changed.
Oh yeah, like Haas is totally the reason why a lot of those rules around how much of the car needs to be self-developed. Red Bull was also in the news because they want kind of a grace to the budget cap, partially because of the fact that they've lost $8 or $9 million of their budget to cars. Um, so obviously, they can't have. That means they won't be able to do an upgrade later in the year. So they want they want a little grace, and obviously, team principals of the teams that can't really deal with that, Haas mainly because Winter just will rage at anyone. Said basically, he needs to learn how to play by the rules. Talking about Christian Horner. We'll see how that goes. That has yet to be resolved as of recording this, so very possible.
Like as it posts.
Yeah. Getting into the Spanish Grand Lando Norris spent the whole weekend dealing with what a lot of people thought was hay fever. He has really bad hay fever allergies, but it turned out to be tonsillitis.
Ugh.
And yeah, like he was curled up in a ball during the driver parade with an umbrella over him, just like sucking down fluid. So his driving really kind of was okay. He's getting maybe not necessarily the most out of the car, but the most out of himself. So it was one of those situations where if you're a Lando Norris fan, it's kind of tough because maybe he should have done better, but he just physically couldn't. Mercedes was one of the big players when it comes to grades. They basically called it a do or die. Like, if this upgrade doesn't work, we're screwed. Is what kind of the word around the garage was from Toto Wolff and Hamilton. So it did fix some of the stuff, but they still just don't have the outright speed that Ferrari. Speaking of Lando Norris, during qualifying, he got his car through into Q2, and then looked like he had gotten into Q3 with a pretty good lap, but had the lap time deleted due to track limits. So instead, get Mick Schumacher going in. It's fun to see. What wasn't fun to see for Ferrari fans was Leclerc spinning coming out of the final chicane. But he was able to recover that spin. It happened early enough in Q3 that he was able to get into the pits and get some new tires. Comes out and takes pole from Verstappen and Sainz. I don't think a lot of people were surprised by Leclerc's speed here.
Really?
Ferrari's always done well at this track.
It's just the car is better for it.
Well, also, like, you have to remember, Catalonia is the track that they test at for winter testing.
Sure.
So everyone knows exactly what to do in terms of setup stuff. But Ferrari always just seems to nail it because I think in their mind they are taking winter testing as like, okay, this is a 2-week free practice for the race. So it's part of why I don't like them testing at a track that they run at.
Because it gives an unfair advantage?
Well, I mean, it's not an unfair advantage because everyone has the same, opportunity to build stuff. But there's some teams that I think Williams just upgraded their simulator. Haas's simulator needs to be upgraded. Um, some of these teams that their simulator systems aren't that great. So anytime they can get out on the track to do testing, it's very helpful. And then you have Ferrari, who have state of the art everything.
Because they're Ferrari.
Yeah. And so they can do a lot of their preseason testing virtual, and then show up for winter testing and be like, cool, here's our car, we're going to start getting ready for the race. Have fun, losers. Hamilton and Magnussen got in a little scrap early. It happened on the first lap, and it ended up putting both the cars at the back of the pack. Eventually led to Magnussen's retirement, but I don't know. I just feel like if you're Lewis Hamilton, you're a 7-time world champion, and you're battling with a Haas, maybe you just take a wide berth. Because, you're going to get past him. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't need to do it then. Just wait half a lap and you'll be fine. Who wasn't fine, though, was Charles Leclerc, as he ended up having a kind of odd failure in its engine. It was the NGU K, which is the battery generator unit that is attached to the turbo, and the electronics overheated.
Oh.
Because it was so hot. And the Mercedes cars were actually having issues with overheating as well, so they got kind of lucky that they were able to continue and survive. But so Leclerc retired from the league. We got a great battle between Verstappen and Russell, only because Verstappen's DRS system was busted. So, he would come down the main straight, hit the button, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would just mash the button, and nothing happens. And then every now and then it would open up, and then would close immediately because he's just mashing the button trying to get stuff to work. So he eventually overtakes Russell with a pretty good move.
Mm-hmm.
And goes on to win the race from his teammate Sergio Perez and aforementioned Russell of Mercedes. I feel like these races are always Spain, particularly, because it's not. It's a great track to stat. It's got a mix of everything: high speed turns, low speed turns, mid speed turns, kind of off camber turns, long straights. You can test everything you need to. But it just doesn't feel like it has a personality.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
A lot of the great tracks, and obviously Monaco being one of them, which we'll talk about next, the tracks have a personality that you're like, okay, yeah, that's just that's a quirk of Monaco, right? Because it's narrow and it's small. Or Spa has the huge elevation changes. Just kind of the balls to the wall of a place like Silverstone. Spain's just it almost feels surgical. It's yeah, it's this track, and there's not a lot to it that's okay, I feel like it's going to be a good race going into Spain, so that part's disappointing. Other than that, it was a perfectly adequate race.
That kind of was my sense of it. It felt fine. Nothing too amazing, but fine.
Yeah. perfectly acceptable.
Which to be fair, like you need a few of those. Like that's kind of like okay,
Yeah,
acceptable race is acceptable. Like I don't know
yeah,
if there's much to complain about there.
yeah. You need the stinkers so you can appreciate the good races.
Right. And this isn't even a stinker. I think we had a stinker like last time we talked about. Like this wasn't.
Yeah. Um, Talking about stinkers,
Hoofda.
we'll get into it in a little bit, but to start, the hometown boy remains dominant on his home streets with yet another pole position. Charles Leclerc taking pole in his home race. Now, obviously, this is always a contentious topic when people talk about
Mm-hmm.
home races because like all the drivers live in Monaco, so it's like this is
Yeah.
everyone's home race. But
Right.
Charles was born in Monaco. He is truly a Monegasque citizen, born and raised. So this is his home race. It's not. I don't think any other driver would consider this to be their home race.
You know,
Even though they live
at what point, yeah, that's an interesting discussion about what point does it become a home stadium because of that.
I mean, the fact that there's a Monegasque on the grid, like obviously everyone's going to cheer for Leclerc,
Mm-hmm.
but when he wasn't on the grid, when there weren't any Monegasque drivers on the grid, it was usually a lot of they would cheer for whoever had kind of figured it out at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you had guys like Senna or going even further back, Mansell was a couple wins. Graham Hill, obviously more recently Hamilton. These guys that kind of figured out the track and were able to string together several, right? So 4 to 5. Those were usually the crowd favorites because
Mm-hmm.
it was truly and still is to a certain extent, a a test, right? It's the only track where these guys are going full out and you can't make any mistakes. Obviously, Jeddah kind of has the same factor, but you're not going as fast as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's not really so. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people like this. I also it's been in the news because F1 wants to group races kind of geographically,
Mm-hmm.
as well as potentially removing some of the more quote unquote classic races. Um, and Monaco. So, for those that don't know, the Monaco Grand Prix is run by a effectively completely different order that
Really?
lets F1 race there.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, so they have their own safety crew, they have their own TV crew, they have their own track marshals, they have their own.
Do you have any clue why it's
Because
like
it's
this?
Monaco,
Okay.
that's how it used to be. Back in the day, like every track ran its own system. But then as the kind of globalization, call it, of F1, especially with stuff, um, a lot of those tracks just let whoever was covering it do their own thing, and then Formula One started their
Kind
own.
of taking over.
Yeah, they started their own broadcast center and all that, so they were handling it all. But yeah, Monaco is still its own thing. It's contrarian because it wants to be. Um, and actually, during I'll talk about it now. The start of the race got red flagged. Um, there was a power outage in the directors,
Hmm.
so they were waiting on them to get power back up, which for the team at Sky was weird because they're like, well, all of our stuff is working. You know, this is why. Just another example of we have to wait on the Monaco director.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, they normally have a global director who works with Formula One to show the races, and instead they have to wait on the Monaco director. So, but other than that, going back to qualifying, Perez puts his car into the wall trying to go into the tunnel. Actually looks like a pretty bad crash. And this harkens back to the Horner's comments about wanting to potentially raise the budget cap. This is like the fifth time I think Perez has crashed a car.
Sheesh.
So,
Does that the driver's pay at all?
No.
Oh, I didn't know because at what point is it their fault?
No, I mean they probably could, but then every driver would drive so conservatively that
It'd be
it's
worse.
not worth it. So, but Sainz kind of catches the ass of his car on the front of Perez's car because he's just blocking the track and Sainz has to slide to stop. But we get to race day and it starts raining. And it doesn't stop raining. And it gets harder. And for a lot of people, rain at Monaco is always fun because you get to see different strategies play out. Like, some teams may think, oh, it's still dry enough that we can run intermediates. Some drivers may want to run full wets just for the safety of it. So you get some fun there that you wouldn't normally have.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of seeing that, the race gets delayed due to weather. And then they do kind of a sighting lap, which they tend to do when it's rain, to see kind of where the track's at in terms of how it can handle the water and things like that. And then during that, they red flag the race. And they are sitting for, it was well over an hour. So what happens is they have changed the rules since 2011. So 2011, the Canadian Grand Prix was 7 hours long.
Sheesh, that is.
It had like
stunning.
5 red flag periods. So they made it now where you have a 4-hour window, and to get the race run in. So
okay.
Races are normally about 2 hours, so you have plenty of time. And actually, this is what happened at Belgium last year, where they ran 2 laps under the safety car, so that the race officially started, red flagged it, and then just ran out the red flag, ran out the time, basically. But so yeah, I don't know. I can understand it because these are city streets. It isn't a track, so it's not designed to drain in the same way. But still, it's kind of annoying because everyone wants to see the cars.
Of course.
Um, but the race gets started again, um, and there is a discussion of whether or not they're going to be able to fit the race in.
Really?
Yeah, basically under the uh, traditional length, partially because they're going to run up on their 4 hour block, and also because they've taken like 3 or 4 laps around the track, so that's fuel that they burned on the car,
Mm.
and they can't refuel the cars. So, you know, they're gonna have to start
That
cutting
last lap you have to run. It's now a triathlon.
biathlon. Um, so there's talks about will they be able to run the full length? You know, what are they gonna do? Right? Are they gonna take laps off? And we'll get to it because there happens to be another red flag period and show what they're doing. But so the race gets started again, and just through pure strategy, Red Bull's able to get their cars in position for some good points. Um, Sainz pulls a incredibly long stint on the wets. The track starts to dry out, but it's not drying at the rate that you would expect because the track's only, I think they said it was only like 65 degrees. So the track itself was very cold. And so it's going to hold on to that water. Um, so that you don't have the track helping you dry itself out
Mm-hmm.
like you would in a situation where the track was warm,
Like 110.
or I mean even like 90, right? Like if the track's 90 degrees and or if the clouds lifted, right, and so the track could heat up, then it would dry out a little bit faster. But um, yeah, so it becomes a game of who's going to switch to slicks first.
Mm-hmm.
And Red Bull waits like a couple laps. They let Ferrari go in and pit to switch onto slicks, and then they come in and perform the overcut, which is basically they go long in a stint to have better tires at the end. And they're able to get their cars in position for 4 podium finishes, which the race gets delayed, like I said, with one of the crazier crashes I've seen this year. Mick Schumacher's car rips in half.
That is wild.
Um, it is a safety design now, so
My car rips in half normally too. I understand. Like that's a normal. Does yours not do that? Do you not drive a good enough car?
this stuff has happened before where they hit with enough force that they just ripped the back of the car off. But this is now a safety feature due to Grosjean's crash in Bahrain in 2020 when he went into the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So, his car burst into flame. It's to dissipate as much energy as possible. So they're like, okay, well, if we can have energy to break the carbon or whatever they're using in those joints to dissipate that and send the back of the car away from the tub, then the tub has less kinetic energy in it. Therefore, you're theoretically in a safer position. I was really worried because I saw a car split in half and they weren't cutting to any replays or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, great. You know, Mick crashes hard and is unconscious or something, and they're worried and they don't want to show the car. So
Mm-hmm.
he ends up being fine. It just takes him a sec to
Get
figure
up.
out what's going on. And when the race gets resumed, it's put on a timer, a countdown timer, to basically run as many laps as they can until the timer runs.
And they'll call it at that point.
Yeah. So now it becomes a just kind of mad dash to see, okay, can my tires last 25 minutes? And if they can, we'll be fine. And Perez figures it out and ends up getting the lead. And therefore, his third win. Making him, believe it or not, the winningest Mexican driver ever.
Really?
Yeah. Previous record was 2. He now has 3. Sainz was dominant with strategy as well, which is second. Verstappen third. Leclerc finished fourth. At least he finished. It's an improvement. He didn't even start last year's race. But coming up, have another, I guess, street circuit. I don't know. It's tough to call it a street circuit when the front straight is like 8 lanes away.
Street? Do we have streets like that?
Well, you go from a track like Monaco to Baku, and you're like, okay, this is just a racetrack that happens to be in a city. Yes, we have Well Done Baku coming up next. Some controversy coming into it from the past couple of years, where drivers are worried about the tires for this track because they come into the last sector doing 100 kilometers an hour with so much load on their rear left tire. And last year we saw both Stroll and Verstappen have tire failures within laps of each other. And they were well within the service life that Pirelli said that the tires should have lasted. So there's some drivers that are a little hesitant. Pirelli's like, oh no, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen?
The tires are good. But yeah. Other than that, we haven't seen much news come through leading up to this other than it appears Lando has overcome his tonsillitis. So
so the episode begins and ends the same way?
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, yeah, we will be back, I'm assuming, in a couple... Is the summer break now, or is it soon?
So we have got Baku on the 10th, Canada on the 17th, and we've got a little break, and then it's Great Britain on the 1st, Austria on the 8th, France on the 22nd, 2 weeks there, Hungaroring on the 29th. So after Hungary, so that's round 13, is summer break, because then the next race is Belgium until the August.
I forget how long these breaks are. Like, it is wild how long a break it is.
So, you know, we've got 2 weeks after Canada, we've got 2 weeks after Austria. Well, I say 2 weeks, it's a week off.
Mm-hmm.
Then France, Hungary, and then summer break. So, got a few more episodes before
the break.
Summer break, but
summer break. Yeah. Is that how this song goes?
I don't think so.
Damn. Well, yeah, we will see all you guys next time.
See y'all next time.
The SW Show and all of its affiliate podcasts are podcast by me, Mike Maroney, and AJ Losi. sometimes by our contributors, including Corey King. You can follow the SWW Show on social media at the SWW Show, or sooner or later you go to patreon.com/SWW to help us out. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.